from the severe thunderstorm watch. We did have some hail, some gusty winds, and some rain move across the Maryland Pennsylvania border right along the Mason-Dixon during the last couple of hours. Those storms continue to track towards the east, and as you look at the latest radar sequence, you can see clearly that all the action is now east of Baltimore and Washington, thankfully, but folks in Delaware are still on the back edge of the rain. The most intense storms are now moving into southern New Jersey, and in fact, eastern Gloucester and eastern Camden County. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:30 p.m. local time this afternoon. And we've had reports of 1.5-inch hail at Pittman, New Jersey. That's in Gloucester County, and the storm is moving towards the east-northeast at 30 miles an hour. Now here's a better view as we head to the east-northeast. A couple of things going on in here. We actually have a small area of low pressure that has developed in extreme southwest New Jersey, just to the west actually, where you see some of these more intense thunderstorms. And as you look out towards the east-northeast, interesting setup in the wind pattern today. Kind of a cool northeasterly flow of air coming down from Connecticut right towards Trenton, New Jersey. Fairly brisk southerly winds coming up into southern New Jersey, and it's along that change in wind direction right through here and heading up across western Long Island up towards Suffolk County. That's where we may see some interesting development to these storms in the next hour or so. You can already see this cluster has developed right along that wind shift zone that I just mentioned. Farther north, the storms of a lighter variety, but nonetheless some small hail is possible in extreme southern New England in the next couple of hours with some heavy rain. The main low pressure, the main storm, is located in west central New York. It's trailing cold front moving through east central Pennsylvania and then trailing back down into southern Virginia. And by the way, those storms that are moving through New Jersey, just receiving word that a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for central Burlington County until 5 p.m. Storms in that area could produce wind gusts of 60 miles an hour and possibly more large hail and definitely some heavy rain with those storms in central New Jersey. It's clearing out big time over northern Virginia. In fact, we're left with a very decent end to the day across northern Virginia now that the storm clouds have progressed to the east. Down to the south, believe it or not, that front has really put the brakes on near the Gulf Coast, and out ahead of it, big thunderstorms. Had reports earlier today of some damage to the roof of the Walmart at the intersection of Route 50 and 4.
Not a big deal. And this one, the same is true, so a little bit more cool air coming in. And then we'll have another front come along to the Pacific Northwest by tomorrow morning, so we'll kind of keep this trend going. And that's going to keep us from seeing another big heat wave in the coming week. As a matter of fact, temperatures will probably seem kind of cool compared to what we've had recently because we've been dealing with this, a lot of 80s. It's even in the 90s today, just ahead of this front, still is. Just ahead of the front in, let's see, Fayetteville and North Carolina and Goldsboro. So hot afternoon here. All right, briefly through Vermont and New Hampshire and on up into Maine. So skiers may not like that, but this next system draws in more cold air. And we could see snow in Cleveland tomorrow, in Detroit, Columbus. Looks like snow in your forecast. Here's that front sliding down to the Gulf Coast. Showers and thunderstorms and some fairly heavy rain expected there in the Northwest. Our rain and snow, especially from the Cascades and west. So the rain with this one really kind of follows the front instead of being out ahead of it. Precipitation through midnight. You notice nothing real heavy until you see the green dot right through here. We'll definitely get some heavy down.
Into the eastern half of the United States by Monday. Let's look at the possibility for strong, intense thunderstorms right about here from New Jersey over the next few hours or so, but a lot of the strong, intense thunderstorms already moving on out of Maryland and already moving on out of Virginia and Pennsylvania, so that's definitely some good news. But this next storm system is getting better organized, getting some moisture, picking up some moisture, and it's going to be our next big weather maker. Well, here's a look at national radar. We have had some reports of strong thunder showers in Louisiana and also Florida. I want to take you to the northeast, though, where we have some thunder showers that are knocking on the back door here in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And these storms will be quite powerful at times, but the good news is they're moving off fairly rapidly. These have had a history of producing hail up to golf ball size, and they've also had a history of producing some very, very gusty winds. So that's what we're dealing with on this Easter Eve, so to speak. And into Florida, we've also had some
And you can see it continues to be whittled away from west to east as the storms progress in that direction. As a look at a radar here, there's the back edge moving through Delaware now, across Delaware Bay. We've had reports, in fact, quite a few reports of hail with these thunderstorms. There are some very strong thunderstorms well east of the eastern shore of Maryland right now. I'm sure the marine interests off the coast are having to deal with some of the very squally winds with these types of thunderstorms. And then we get into the action as we head into southern New Jersey, east of Philadelphia, as we're working our way on up past Gloucester and into Camden County, a big concentration of thunderstorms. There's been a fair amount of hail with these storms. 1.5-inch hail was reported in Pittman, New Jersey, and over in Maryland at St. Mary's County, 2 to 3 inch accumulation of golf ball size hail falling in a fairly large area. So quite a bit of hail. Yeah, we've been talking all day about the interaction of the southerly wind coming up through southern Jersey, and then a northeast wind actually that's been coming in from Connecticut across the north edge of Long Island Sound down past the city and to about Trenton and right along that wind shift zone. This is pretty much where we've seen some of these storms intensify as they move northeast, most recently just off Sandy Hook. In fact, a special marine warning has been issued from Sandy Hook, New Jersey, all the way over to Little Egg Inlet in New Jersey. Winds gusting perhaps as much as 55 to 60 miles an hour. And for folks who live out in Nassau County on the island, stand by. If that storm cluster maintains its intensity, it could bring some high winds and some rain and possibly some hail as we head into the island during the next couple of hours. Farther to the north, now there's a little bit of a splotch there with the Dallas radar jumping in for some unknown reason, but here's the general story. Rain overspread southeast New England. We've had some reports of heavier rain, possibly some small hail has occurred with these storms down along the immediate coast of Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Generally, there's a northeast wind prevailing over New England, but even here on the coastal communities, a bit of a south flow coming in from the Atlantic Ocean, setting the stage for some of that heavier precipitation. Now, the main weather map shows the low. The main low is up here in northwestern New York. It continues to slide towards the east-northeast, the trailing cold front having swept through most of Pennsylvania now, and that means the northwest winds have shifted in, and that's pretty much the story all the way down into Delaware. So that means the stable air continues to progress in, and that's good news for folks who have already dealt with the hail and the high winds today in Maryland and Pennsylvania, and also in Delaware. Visible satellite view shows the storms well east of the Norfolk area now. The Tidewater did get some heavy rain and some high winds from these storms. Now, the same front that we showed you in New England goes south.
Air mass behind this secondary front. So here's the first front that Declan was telling you about. Here's the second one, packing even more in the way of cooler conditions. So as we put everything together, we'll watch. east right now, but it is on the way out. And as that storm system moves out, another one is going to be moving in. And you can see the makings of quite a storm already in progress here in the Central Plains. We also have the tail end of our frontal boundary in Florida giving way to some rain, so be like